Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dean Davis from LiveWeatherBlogs.com meteorologist here. Two areas of concern here in the Atlantic. We have Tropical Storm Don, which right now has 45-knot winds or 50-mile-an-hour winds and is moving to the western west at 12 miles an hour. That'll put it somewhere between Brownsville and Corpus Christi. And we also have another area that's actually back here in way east of the island, Cape Verde type system, that's moving to the west. When it gets over here, the environment is going to look a little better, and that may also be good for some tropical action coming up here in the next week or so. So we'll keep an eye on here on LiveWeatherBlogs.com. Let's go to the one that is knocking on our doorstep, which is Tropical Storm Don. And he's getting closer to the Texas coast, and there's going to be a landfall of a tropical storm in Texas. The question is where. And we're going to take a look at some things here in a couple minutes, and some warnings, advisory information, and just information you need to know. For this landfall and tropical system, if you're in Texas, LiveWeatherBlogs.com is a national site. We have people everywhere, so we are looking out for the best interest of everybody here at LiveWeatherBlogs.com. And we'll continue to do so throughout the day on Friday when we get the landfall. I plan on being here and giving you some of that information. We have GR levels 2 and 3. We look at the radar system, the radar over the day, giving you updates throughout the day, letting you know all about that, and also, the possibility of tornadoes in the bands do occur. So, quick fuse stuff too. So, stay with us here at LiveWeatherBlogs.com, and we'll happily give you the information you need for the tropical system. We got a few things here. The high pressure system building in here, which is shifting all steering winds in this direction. That's also helped shear a little bit on the top of here of Don. We also have a low, which is a monsoon low over here in Arizona, and a high building in here. So what that's doing, the high and the low, bringing Don, which is back here, through the path, which is going to put this right in this general location for a landfall. You see, like I said, some shear from the upper level low and the high building up here, pushing a little bit of easterly and northerly wind shear onto this storm, but that will change also. It's been fighting this whole time, and the 50 miles an hour is still a pretty reputable tropical storm. Won't do a crap load of damage, but this is the first tropical system that's landfalling so in a while, so this is something you gotta remember. A little closer in, you can see there's Don. Don's moving west-northwest, so this is the generalized area you're gonna make landfall. North Brownsville, South Corpus Christi, and there's the generalized area I think that'll get the hit from this. Brownsville, you will be affected because you see the periphery of the system will affect a couple 100-mile area, and that would include Brownsville, and that would include Corpus Christi. Here's your track. You got from Brownsville all the way up to Corpus Christi in Houston area. You have this tropical storm warning, which means tropical storms are favorable within the next 36 hours in this location. Remember, the banding will cause winds to come to the ground. So, you see, by 7 p.m., it's knocking on the coast of the Texas coast here, and it'll be a depression. Move inland and actually give some wet weather to the monsoon regions that actually need this. So, we need some rain in the Texas area, we need rain in New Mexico and Arizona, and this storm will give some rain and moisture to aid that. Here's a storm surge map of 3 feet or greater, and you can see there's an area right here north of Rockport, south of Seadrift, Texas, that has a good possibility of gaining that 3 feet. You got Corpus Christi 2 feet. This is a 2 foot, at least 2 foot water rise that'll occur during this tropical system. And like I said, this is something that's good that we're getting into to give you some areas that are going to be affected by this tropical storm. And we're talking about Padre Island, we're talking about Padre Island seashore. We're talking about an area of at least 2 foot storm surge all the way from Houston south here to the Texas-Mexico border. That includes so many bays that go in. And if we're getting closer, we can see these locations a little better of where you're going to see this. Corpus Christi, Los Pinos, and then a little closer. The Padre National Island, Rockport, Irons Path, Seadrift, a little closer. These are areas that are going to be affected by the tropical storm. All the way out to Vanderbilt. in Texas. Well, like I said, we can go all the way north. These are all areas that will be affected, at least with the wave height. Texas City, Galveston, with water rise from the tropical storm, but the majority of the tropical storm effects are going to be down here. Oswell, Rockport, Corpus Christi, and continue south to Brownsville. That's your area. You're going to see the most tropical system, the most effects from this tropical storm. Feet mile data, and you see GFS is the furthest south, GFDS furthest north, but it brings it to Corpus Christi and Brownsville for all the models. So you're going to have a landfall between Corpus Christi and Brownsville, Texas. And that's going to happen tomorrow evening about 7 or 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We're looking at 24 hours from now at a 65 mile an hour storm. Now, like I said, I'm not going to say it can't make hurricane status. I have, 50 to 80 miles an hour as my threshold because of the warm water. The smaller systems can strengthen quickly and also decline quickly in strength. And you have to really watch out for that in tropical weather. And that's one thing that the weather, the hurricane centers kept on the 60 mile an hour view, and that's just because of the fact of what I just stated. And I would say 60 to 80, just slightly over a Category 1 hurricane is not out of the question. I would throw out the yellow NGFDL model because you can see where it came from. It's a little off already. So, and that has a lot with the GFS kind of following that suit. So I'm going to think it's going to be closer to Corpus Christi to make a landfall. Well, we'll see tomorrow morning where it stands, but that's my thought at this point. Corpus Christi or just south of Corpus Christi. Here's why I say what I say. Here's the central sensitivity test around it, and here's the low. There's your storm. It's starting to breathe to the north of this. For sure, you're getting the higher wind gusts here. Like I said, this thing's starting to breathe a little better, and its movement to the west-northwest, there's warmer water, getting less shear. There's my problem. That's where I'm thinking it could even become a Category 1 hurricane, and that's why my thoughts are there that it could get to that strength. Most likely will not. Most likely will be a strong tropical storm. But that being said, the way it's looking tonight, it's a lot better organized than it was about 8 hours ago. Here it is on an infrared. You can see the lows right here, the highs, top are right around the center of circulation here. A little maybe dry air kind of peeking here on the southern side. But other than that, it's breathing a lot better. And here's my problem. That's my issue with this storm is that this is actually gaining strength. When I put this on animation mode, you're going to see this. This is why I have that issue, and why I say it can get this hurricane strength. This is one of the reasons I'm looking at. You're looking at some of this later visible before we went to an infrared. Watch this right here. Blowing up right around the center of circulation. You almost try to get an eye there going. See, that's showing strengthening, domination of strength. There, getting better outflow. That's a few things to look for. It's become more symmetrical. The outflow is definitely there now. And if this thing continues its pattern overnight, this thing will gain strength and complete close to a hurricane by the 8 a.m. advisory tomorrow, in my view. So, depends all on how the shear continues to weaken. Here's your advisory at tropical storm watches. Brownsville, mornings, Brownsville, all that towards Houston, south of Houston. That's all tropical storm warning. Those big news inland. Stay with liveweatherblogs.com for the latest on this tropical storm, and we will have more in the morning here at liveweatherblogs.com. For liveweatherblogs.com, this is meteorologist Dean Davison. Have a great evening, and we'll talk again early in the morning.